people, three beautiful ladies I have with me here today. We have Kat, we have Hazel and AJ. They are very diligent people who runs or conducts due diligence for businesses that are sold on Flippa. So I, on the other hand, yours truly, I am the one bugging you through email to attend this meetup events. I am Jaro Abadinas and I am a business advisor of Flippa. And for those who are new to Flippa and who have not really heard of Flippa, by the way, we are a marketplace and what we do is we match acquisition fit buyers to high quality business owners. So just think of it as Tinder or Bumble. We are matchmakers. We match buyers with sellers, just like Tinder match two lovers, right? So yeah, again, thank you so much for everyone. So allow me to just introduce you quickly to a very quick presentation I have prepared for you tonight. It's just a glimpse of an M&A world. I know some of you already are into business, but others may not be familiar with how things work. Some are probably interested. So let's take a dive of how an M&A transaction of an M&A world looks like, especially in the current market. So yeah, this is a representation of the exit and buying and selling of businesses around the world in the current market conditions. As you can see, it looks messy. But mergers and acquisitions in general are not really as complicated as it looks. You see, businesses doing on one side of the world are able to sell their business, buyers on the other end. And in terms of statistics, in the first half of the year, we were able to cater or accommodate 193 countries and who are buying and selling businesses on Flippa. And of the thousands of deals, from $500 USD deals to multi-million deals, 67% of those are not happening domestically. Many business owners in the US sells their business. In the UK, business owners from India, there are a lot of sites in India that sells in the UK, in the US and the UK, and all parts of the globe. Which is interesting that I was so surprised that 67% is actually the statistics for this fact. Which leaves probably many of us question, who are these people doing it? What are the background of these people? What are their specific experiences? What are their motivations in buying businesses? Or probably why would a profitable business sell their business if it's profitable, if it has good brand, if it has established supplier relationships? Why would I even consider selling my business? And of course, the last thing is how do they actually do it? It's on a cross-border or probably even domestically. How do they even do it? Or what it could. You may think of it as a very risky move to actually sell across borders, but let's dive into that later on. First, I'll be answering those questions one by one for you. Of course, let's start with some real examples of acquisitions and exit that happened on Flippa. Ryan on the first box right here, Ryan Nidal, if I even read that name correctly, was able to buy an e-commerce business for 10 million USD. By the way, I'll be speaking in USD for the rest of the talk tonight. Johnson, on the other hand, started to acquire one business with us for 7,500 and was able to sell that business, e-commerce business, for 550. Stacey Caprio, another buyer, had a total of 5 content businesses that she has acquired over the lifetime of her using Flippa. So that's about like 13,000 per acquisition average. And with those acquisitions, she was able to live her life through the earnings that she gets from these websites. And these 3 other examples, Laura McGuire, if I remember correctly, she was also able to sell her Keeps accessories e-commerce business, and then Don Cortajo acquisition, also a several deal acquisition. It's not a one-time deal, and a cumulative, it's about more than 150,000 USD. And then Flo, he owns how to grow a customer list type of content, and he was able to sell it for 40K. There are a lot of stories. We could spend the whole day running down through every single story and backgrounds of people who have bought different types of businesses on Flippa, whether it be e-commerce, content, SaaS businesses, marketplace types of businesses, and several other stuff, domains, name it, from $50, from $500 deal to multi-million. There are a lot of stories we can sell. So with that, I mean, I can just say that with this specific examples, we can really tell that there's no specific background that acquisition and selling of business requires. So in terms of the type of buyer groups, I know in my previous slide I talked about what they are buying, what they have sold. Now, what are the backgrounds of these people who actually have bought businesses? We have three major categories. Those are individual side hustlers. The second one is the entrepreneurs, and the third one, of course, are the companies, institutional buyers. Now, what are the backgrounds of these people? I will be telling real stories that I experienced throughout the conversations I have with buyers. On a day-to-day basis, I speak with individuals who want to buy businesses. And on starting with the side hustler, there are, let's say, full-time employees who just wants to earn extra income on top of their earnings from their salaries. And there are also, let's say, for the entrepreneurs, they just want to buy businesses like that additional income to expand their portfolio or to complement their current portfolio. Let's say they are into beauty brands, and there's another business that's selling another beauty brand, and they want to acquire that business just to add to their products listing. And probably another reason is they just want to expand their geographic reach and several other things. And background of these people really, really varies. There are full-time moms, there are employees, there are, employees who wants to resign from their companies and just wanted to start their business. The horizon really, really expands with how the backgrounds of these people look like. An institutional buyer, of course, would be different. Institutional buyers have different motivations of why they want to acquire businesses and selling businesses. Probably institutional buyers would like some synergies, or probably they would like to eliminate competition. Things like a bigger purpose than, the other purpose than what individual customers or buyers really are motivated to buy a business. And in terms of statistics, this is how our numbers look like. And the above 1 million deal, of course, we expect that institutional buyers will top it, and it's about 66%. And anyway, our statistics there are very recent. These are based on our first half of 2023. And of course, we expect the below 1 million deals, the side hustlers, because we see there are a lot of businesses, if you can just imagine, e-commerce businesses that you can just run, let's say 2 to 4 hours a week, maybe. Of course, if you're planning to have a full-time business, that's not going to work for you. But if you're looking for businesses that are side hustles, then that can definitely work for you. Let's say 2 to 4 hours a week, maybe, or probably 2 hours max. Then there are a lot of opportunities or businesses that we see around the world. Now that we know that there's really not a specific requirement of who can actually buy or sell businesses. You just have to have the motivation to actually buy or purpose of buying. Now that we understand what are the motivations of these people who are actually buying and selling, let's start with what buyers are thinking. Why would they want to buy businesses? For the first 2 bullet points, you benefit from a fast start, you are acquiring traction, and of course there are just people who are not really founder in their mindset. They could probably be growers. They're growing managers. And there's an advantage in buying businesses, because when you buy established businesses or contents, or probably any other contents, businesses in general, you already have, let's say, supplier relationships that you can acquire with the business. You already have proven traffic. The previous owner of the business might already have an existing customer list that comes with the sale. You already have the brand, probably, private labels, and contracts. Anything that comes with operating the business is already there. Some may even include their virtual assistants to work with you when you acquire businesses. So you no longer have to start from scratch. And there are not a lot of people who are actually good in starting from scratch. But of course, no discount to the people who are founders or expert in startups, right? And then of course, number 3, it's an affordable and growing asset. 40% annualized returns. And just imagine if you'd be able to invest, let's say, I'll speak in peso just for this specific talk or time. So let's say 40% annualized returns. If you're doing 100,000 peso investment, then 30 to 40% annual return would probably give you around 2-year payback period, which is not actually bad. And in that sense, we can consider a specific deal to be affordable. Of course, a multi-million-dollar deal will not appeal as affordable for us, but it could be affordable for some institutional buyers that has financing or fund capabilities to finance those deals. And of course, buyers also think of diversifying of revenue, as I mentioned earlier. They want additional income aside from their own salaries, and they want to add in other business because they are tired of this other business, or they just want to venture in another industry, other niche maybe. And so diversifying, of course, as the saying goes, we don't put all eggs in one basket, because if one basket falls, then all other eggs crack, right? So yeah, these are the 4 of the major reasons why buyers really buy businesses. But there are other things, especially for individuals who just want to start their own business. They just want to find passions. I have spoken with different buyers who actually just runs for passion and starts their own business because they are into, let's say, they want to advocate for health, for mental health, and then they dive into e-commerce business that sells supplements and that are targeting patients or probably people with mental health concerns, right? So things like that. There are various reasons why buyers really look to buy businesses. And on the other end, why would a business owner sell his businesses when it's running profitable? I want to start right from the bottom, which is recognizing your limits, because I really hear this several times. It could probably be strange for some people, because some people expect that if you are a business owner, you are expected to grow the business. But some businesses or some people who owns businesses, there are just some limits that you can, your skills just can limit to a certain extent. What I meant by that is when I hear people say, this is better off with another buyer. And specifically, I was speaking with a buyer yesterday as a business owner yesterday from the UK, and he mentioned that he was very emotional of his business as he started it from scratch. And he doesn't really care so much of the price that is going to be selling this business for. But what he wants is to find a buyer that can actually grow the business, because he recognizes his limits and he can only expand the business to a certain extent. And there's no discredit on that specific person. And he acknowledges that he is more of a starter, an innovator, rather than a growing manager of a business. And that's okay, because not all of us are good at all things. If you're an innovator, then that's good for you. If you're a growing manager, that's also good for you. And then we have other things, leverage, strong buyer demand. Of course, when economics come into play, what are we going to do if we see there are a lot of interested buyers for specific business models? What are we going to do? Of course, we might think of actually leveraging that potential of actually exiting your business. And of course, if we see that there are interested buyers coming into play, we might, bot sellers also consider selling their business. Even in the first place, they haven't really thought of selling their business. A single probably call with a specific seller would make them want to sell their business just because of leveraging the buyer and leveraging on the potential of the business in terms of an exit. And two other things, of course, capitalizing on your investment, excuse me, and reinvesting in other alternative revenues. Since, of course, the business owners has already worked on the business from scratch, has already established everything from the beginning. It's just worth that he sows get the fruit of his labor, and that by capitalizing on investment comes also with other reasons. And by capitalizing investments, it could be that his purpose is actually venture into other projects, or probably some people who just want to retire from their business, hence they want to capitalize on it already, and several other reasons that they really want to have the proceeds of the sale from selling the business. I am really sorry for speaking a little too fast, because we do have something on the interest of time. And now that we know who are these people, why these people are buying, here's a quick glance of how people actually do it. So on the left-hand side, we do have a summary of the steps of how buyers do it. Of course, they start with establishing what their goals are in their acquisition. And then it could be the reason, their goals maybe to acquire a business that's within a specific niche, or they just want to start their own business. And that acquisition goal comes along with establishing your criteria as a buyer, which comes on the second step. And by establishing your criteria, meaning you have to establish what type of businesses you're wanting to, e-commerce. You could also look for brick and mortar business if you want, or SaaS business, service types of business, and several other criteria such as, should it be in the 3 years of age? Should it be, let's say, generating traffic from the US? You want to enter the US market, and you're looking for a website that generates traffic from the US? Or are you looking for a specific brand that complements your own products? Then definitely you have to drill down all the criteria you're looking for. And then of course, once you already have that criteria, you go for a business search. And then once you have already done your search on different platforms across the world, including Flippa, I hope, and Empire Flippers, one of our competitors are here. And then after then, of course, you shortlist those buyers that you have seen. And then, of course, the valuation and structure. Valuation, of course, I've spoken with few people here who are interested in valuation. I'd like to tap on those topic quickly. I'll try to tap on those topic really quickly. I'll try to squeeze in some time. So yeah, of course, you have to establish what price or type of deal structure you're looking at. Let's say, would it be 100% cash up front, seller financing type deal, or any other deal structures that's available? You can go for probably earn out, where you have to meet a certain metric before you actually pay the business, and several other structures that we can think of. And then on the seller side, of course, sellers somehow mirrors what the buyers do, although they're on the other end. They have to also establish how they want to exit and why they are looking to exit. Are they just looking to sell the business completely? Are they looking for investors probably? Do they want some merger with a competition? Or they just want someone who takes care of the business, as I have spoken earlier? And then from establishing those goals, you kind of assess where your company is currently, which is step number 2. What are in your company? What are your financials looking like? What are your operations looking like? Where have your suppliers been? Where are your suppliers coming from currently? How are your operations running? Your human resources, how are they? Will they be part of the sale? Will you be including everything on the sale? Will you be an asset sales, share sales maybe? And of course, comes with the pre-sale preparations. You already have to come up with you have to make sure Of course, you have to clean all your financials, or probably if you come with legal discourses, you want to make sure that your clean when it comes when you're already looking to exit business. And then, of course, preparation of information memorandum. So, information memorandum is just basically like marketing material. This is like a fancy term in the M&A space. So it's just basically a marketing material that we use to present a business for sale. So this includes all the important details about the business, all the key highlights of your business, how much your revenue is earning, how much profit have you been doing the last 3 years maybe, what's your brand about, where your supplies are coming from, and all the important details about your business and what structure you're looking at. And of course, similar with buyers, you also have to look for buyers, criteria, look for buyers, and then shortlist them again. And on the middle is where the market comes in. This is where markets, the buyer and sellers are already meet. And these are the steps where when buyers and the sellers already meet in the market. So valuation, of course, is one of the things that happen. You have to come up with a fair price, reasonable price that's both fair for both the buyers and the sellers. Of course, we are expecting that, buyers would want a negotiated price, a lower price, and the sellers would want a higher asking price. So we want to make sure that the valuation are fair for both parties. And then comes after, or not necessarily after, comes along with valuation and the other process, of course, the negotiating letter of intent. So letter of intent is just basically a buyer expressing or formally expressing his interest that he wants to purchase his or the seller's business. So it comes with how much price he wants his business for. Let's say how much period he wants to review the business for, the due diligence period, what type of deal structure he's looking to close the business for or the sale for. And then after that is of course the actual due diligence process when the letter of intent is already submitted to the seller. That's when the buyer already tries to review the financials of the business, the traffic, and of course, shout out again to our due diligence team who does it. They do risk analysis and then competitor analysis as well, and other stuff that they can find on the business, just so a buyer can come up with a very informed decision in his or her acquisition. So yeah, due diligence basically is just a review about a business. And if there are things that you can find out or probably verify the financials and traffic. And then when both parties already agree on the outcome of the due diligence and there's no significant findings and they're already willing to go forward, that's when the assets or sale and purchase agreement comes into play where they already draft their binding contract. So this is already the contract of sale. And then that's when both parties agree on the financing. This outlines all the conditions of the sale, the inclusions of the sale, the deal structure. And then that's when, of course, they proceed with finance, when they already come up with an executed contract. Then right after is the closing itself, where the transferring of funds happen, transferring of assets happen, and the post-deal implementation, does it come with the support from the seller or transition of all employees? Everything that's agreed on the contract will happen on the post-deal implementation. Whew, that's a long one. So I know that's a lot of things to think of, but how do we actually help as Flippa to actually make these things easier for our buyers? First, I'll have to work on the buyer's end. So with all of these steps, Flippa already has made things easier. First, of course, yours truly, the M&A advisor that assists with buyers to actually look for businesses that are within their criteria and also give them some insights about how the market has been doing. Let's say they're interested in e-commerce businesses, how the market has been doing in e-commerce space, and other things that they'd like to ask. What are the things that I have to look for in a business? What are the red flags that I have to look for in the business? Things like that, we do have that, and also valuation experts that can give you some insights whether a business is priced reasonably or not. Is it on the high end? Is it on the low end? Why is a certain business price really high? And why is a business selling really low? There are questions that we get. Why is a business really low when it's performing really good? Because that raises a red flag. And then, of course, how can you search for businesses when there are no businesses to search from? So we have thousands of businesses available from Flippa. We specialize in digital businesses, e-commerce businesses, dropshipping businesses, even businesses that are that have website presence or online presence but have their physical warehouse. We also cater those types of businesses, and several other digital businesses, SaaS businesses, iOS, Android apps, and marketplaces. Let's say marketplaces such as Shopee and Lazada. Although they are not selling their business, don't quote me on that. Examples of marketplaces are Shopee and Lazada. And then what are these tools for you to find these thousands of buyers? So I have heard several of you have already received a lot of emails from our daily newsletters. You've been receiving tons of deals going through your emails, deals that vary from one type of business to the other. You might find someone interesting, you might find someone really overpriced, but yeah, that's one thing where you can actually look for businesses. And also we have our very own Flippa search, where you can actually go to flippa.com and try to filter exactly how you want your search results to be. So if you're looking to e-commerce businesses that's in the health industry, then you can definitely do that. If you want to filter out businesses that is generating hundred thousands of revenue in a month and has a lot of this much traffic, then you can definitely do that on Flippa search. And our very own Flippa Premium, which we just have recently launched, where we give premium access to our premium members 21 days ahead of the game. So premium buyers will be given 21 days to view business ahead of the rest of the open market. Of course, this comes with a fee, but of course, I'll be giving you some good news later about Flippa Premium. And on this seller's end, what do Flippa actually do in assistance on selling their businesses? I won't mention M&A advisors, of course, you know that we do help in selling their businesses. We find the right buyers for them. But of course, yes, we do help in their valuation, setting up their information memorandum. We do help in marketing their businesses. But to highlight, number two, we do have millions full of buyers that are available on Flippa and thousands of daily active users that messages in the deal room engage with business owners because there are interests in businesses that you currently own, or sellers or owners of businesses currently own. And interestingly, we have recently launched this AI recommender. If Flippa search doesn't work for the buyers and they're not able to get to your business, we have launched the AI recommender, where the sellers have the power to actually invite certain buyers to see their business. So our AI is smart enough to understand what buyers are looking for and match them based on their criteria and give those recommendations to sellers. Once the sellers click this invite to deal button, it will just automatically send notifications to these buyers to view their business. And this has been very, very useful for us because we have closed deals with this AI-powered tool. And then of course we have the deal room where all conversations happen, where transfers of files happen, where exchanges of all information happen between the buyers and the seller. And from this specific deal room, there are a lot of functions that I will also be mentioning a little bit later. And another feature that we have is the price drop feature, where when a business has not been selling, let's say, for quite a while, we created a tool where the seller has the power to notify all previously engaged buyers and buyers who have put their business on their watch list once they do a price drop. So let's say for 1 month he was not able to sell the business, and he clicked the price drop button and then decreases price, let's say 10%, 15% maybe, then that sends instant notification to these specific pool of buyers who have recently engaged and has the business on their watch list, and that sends them notifications. These are just statistics that there are a lot of deals happening on Flippa. So on the left side, you have the deal numbers that has closed quarter on quarter. You see that the graph is growing, although it has slight dip on 2023 first half. Although it could, we see traction happening in the latter part of the year, mainly because there are a lot of registered new users coming into the platform on the first half of the year. And we've seen, one of the reasons of the decline is we've seen a lot of bigger deals happening on the first half of 2023, hence the slight decline in the total number or count of deals that have closed. And on the right-hand side, as I have mentioned, there are lots of messages happening with a number of buyers interested in acquiring businesses on Flippa. We see that it has consistently from 2020, going 4 years back, it has consistently been growing, even during the pandemic, especially during the pandemic, because that's where people are actually interested in having their own businesses. And even when the pandemic has kind of chilled down a bit today, we're still seeing growth in interested buyers coming in to the deal room and engaging themselves with the sellers. Alright, so these are just some other few stats that we can actually look on. If you look at this recent data from January 2022, you see how much people are searching for businesses, different kinds of businesses. On the top are SaaS businesses, because SaaS businesses are one of the most expensive digital business, but one of the most, I would say, sexy type of digital business, because we expect SaaS business to have exponential growth because they expect on recurring types of revenues. So that's what many people look for. And in terms of number of people selling SaaS, it's not as much as e-commerce businesses and content businesses. So hence, there's really so much high price on SaaS businesses. And then of course comes other things. We have Shopify that probably represents the e-commerce store. We have blogs that represent content businesses. And other things, AdSense, Amazon comes on the fifth, and several other businesses. And some are searching for specific niche of businesses, jewelry, sports, and pets. And on the left-hand side, we just see some stats on how many businesses are actually, how many people are actually doing business or creating new businesses and this is a world statistics, and the liquidity of the buyers. We can see, Flippa alone, we try when a buyer tries to create a profile on Flippa, we try to assess their acquisitions budget, and from there we'd be able to come up with how much liquid our buyers pool are. And in my last check of how liquid our buyers pool are, it's about 10 billion if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we do have a lot of interested buyers coming in, buyers that are liquid in cash and probably liquid in acquiring businesses. Alright, so yeah, I have mentioned earlier that on the buyer's end there are tools that Flippa has, and on the seller's end there are also tools that Flippa has. And when the sellers and buyers already meet, these are our tools that we integrate or we launch to help both the buyers and sellers in completing the deal. So the main goal of Flippa is to have a seamless process from the buyer wanting to buy a business to his acquisition, and from seller wanting to sell his business to his actual exit. So yeah, we do have the intuitive valuation, 15 years of experience in the market. We could really say that our data is, I would say, reliable in terms of how profit multiple is already in how e-commerce businesses, probably content businesses, how have they been doing recently, and how have they been doing in a specific period. And also, of course, our team of experts who have real experiences with people and real insights from people who think that, oh, this specific business is really overpriced because of this, this, and this, and seller business who wants to price his business higher because of several reasons. And of course, we also have our due diligence services with our due diligence team who will be helping you in reviewing your business acquisition. We also have some financing partners where there are certain buyers who, let's say, some have some shortage of cash on a specific period and wants to acquire businesses. We have three business partners at the moment, although the two available are mostly available in the US, and we have Bupos who's mostly available in more regions than the other. And then escrow and Flippa Pay services. So for those who have not yet been familiar, this is a safety mechanism. This is a safety mechanism that Flippa launched for us, for buyers and sellers to transact safely on Flippa. So how it works is, when a deal is already closing, and a contract has already been executed, the buyer will already be required to pay escrow or Flippa Pay. So escrow is a third party who holds funds for transaction, and Flippa Pay is our very own. So yeah, going back, the buyers will be required to fund escrow or Flippa Pay, and then we, as Flippa, we will be confirming the receipt of that fund, and will ask the seller not to transfer the asset unless we have confirmed that the funds already are cleared. And then after they are cleared, that's when we ask the seller to transfer all the assets, all the domains, all the inventories, all the things that come with the sale. And only after the buyer confirms the acceptance of those assets, and if there are, let's say there are conditions attached to the sale, there are conditions indicated in the contract, then we would be following those conditions. If there's an inspection of period of 7 days, 14 days, or 30 days maybe before the buyer and seller wants to release the funds, then we will definitely be following that. And so basically we want the buyers and sellers to have a safety transaction. And by the end of that inspection period, or following all the conditions in the contract, then that's the only time we'll be releasing the funds to the seller. And then of course, we, as I've mentioned, in the deal room there are a lot of things happening. Aside from exchanging of messages between the buyer and the seller, we have the letter of intent template already available, and also the contract available. Of course, if there are some complications in the contract, then buyers and sellers may opt to have their own, or may come up with their own contract. But we do have tons of legal templates as well for different kinds of businesses. And another safety mechanism that we do as Flippa is we try to verify most of our users. And for let's say a new buyer comes in, we try to verify their IDs, phone numbers, and whatnot, and they won't be allowed, especially on deals that are higher valued, they will not be allowed to complete a deal unless they are funds verified and ID verified. And so yeah, and there are a lot of other tools that's available on Flippa. Other things I can mention is probably the market insights that's available on every listing, where you can actually compare the current listing that's for sale to similar businesses that has recently sold and that's currently selling on Flippa. So by that time, you already have a feel of, is this market or is this business overpriced? Is it reasonably priced compared to other businesses selling within the same industry or the same niche? And many others, if you run through Flippa platform. So now that we understand, I already have just finished answering the questions. I hope I was able to answer questions why, who, and how people buy and sell businesses across the globe, 67% cross-border deals. Here's a classic story that happened on Flippa. So this specific buyer is from Serbia, who started to acquire business in 2019, starting at a budget of $600. And ever since then, he's a DJ, by the way, and a PHP developer. And from ever since then, from 2019, here are the number of transactions month on month that he has completed. And recently, he actually purchased one of the deals that I work with. It's called Wiki Biography, and it's a content site. I think it's an Indian site if I remember correctly. And it's sold at 2.2x profit multiple, which is not bad in current market. In profit multiple wise, it's not bad for the current market. And so yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And I'd like to spend some few time to accommodate questions other people have. And I'd like to start with answering probably frequently asked questions as I go along talking to people. And they were asking how businesses are valued on Flippa. Well, generally in the M&A space or the exit or acquisition space, there are a lot of ways to value businesses. We have the cash flow, where we discount cash flow. We try to compute the present value of the cash flow. Let's say you're going to forecast your cash flow to be 5 years, and then you're going to discount it in current period. And then we do have asset, let's say carrying value of assets. But generally, the most commonly used and the valuation that we use, the valuation method that we use, is the EBITDA multiple or profit multiple method. If some of you are not familiar, profit multiple is, or here's how profit multiple works. Let's say a specific business is earning, let's say, 50,000 a month, and you want to sell a business for 2.0x profit multiple, then you would be selling the business for 100K, which is twice your annual profit. And profit multiple, of course, is not dictated by us. We do not dictate what you should be selling your business for. It's dictated by the market. And our experience with buyers and our experience with big closing deals, the market itself actually dictates that, hey, e-commerce businesses are selling at this price, so we advise the seller to maybe we can play along this figure just to sell your business in this specific time frame. And for those experience that we have alone, we would be able to give our sellers or probably buyers some insights of how much businesses are actually or could probably be worth. And are there questions that anyone wants to ask? Yes, sir.
Could you give us recommendations on how to get the highest multiple when you're selling a business?
Your question is how to get the highest multiple? All right. Great question. Thank you, by the way. So there are several factors that affect profit multiple. Well, since it's a profit multiple, well, of course, one of the major factors is its monthly or annual profit. But it's not the only factor. Since I was mentioning average earlier, you can actually play along higher or lower than the profit multiple depending on how your business looks like. So it really depends on other things. Age would actually matter. If it's too young, then the buyers might not be skeptical on probably buying it. So age would definitely matter. And the business model is also a factor. If let's say your drop shipping business is and compared to a non-drop shipping business, there's definitely a play in profit multiples. There are buyers that want no warehouse of inventory because that would play along additional costs. If you have your own warehouse, then definitely that would affect profit multiple. And other things, sources of traffic, since we're talking about digital businesses, sources of traffic also comes in play. If a business was proven to have like a tons of organic traffic coming into the website, then there's definitely a possibility we can increase our profit multiple. And so what I meant by that, if let's say a business that's doing marketing spends a lot compared to a business that's reaching traffic organically, then definitely a business that's reaching traffic organically would have higher multiple than those that spends a lot of marketing. Of course, several other factors, how your marketing spend returns does is also affecting where your geography or your market is. Since let's say if your target customers are coming from not so demand or not a country that doesn't have much demand on specific niche, then definitely profit multiple might not be good. And domain name sometimes factor in. that .in types of domains sell a little less than .com, .ph, I mean .ph also. And I hope that answers your question. All right, any other questions that we can get answered for you tonight? Yes, sir.
Just wanted to know a couple of things. Thank you for your presentation. What is the standard transaction fee from Flippa on transaction?
For buyers and sellers?
Yeah, for buyers and sellers, I don't know if it's through escrow or through some issue. And then the other one is on the AI tool that you have, who's powering the AI that they're using? Is it in-house or is it a third party?
All right. So his first question was about transaction fees that Flippa charges in both on the buyers and on the sellers end. So the buyers doesn't have, we do not charge buyers for searching for businesses on Flippa. And for sellers, we do have like minimal fees for listing their business on Flippa. And the fees, if you want to know the specific fees, we do not have a specific fees. It depends on the range or the price that you will be closing the business for. But it ranges from 4% to 10% of the closing price or the transaction price. And then for your other question, the AI tool, I'm not really familiar with who actually powered, but I believe our product team developed our AI tool themselves. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? All right.
Do you have a minimum listing age for businesses, maybe 12 months or 24 months before we can list?
I'm sorry?
Minimum business age before we can list?
Business age?
12 months or 24 months?
There are no minimum age. You can sell your business even if it's just less than a year. Although, of course, as I mentioned, there's going to be profit multiple will come along, right? But yeah, there's no age of business, and we do not restrict in terms of age. Any other questions? Yeah.
What type of business do you see being bought and resold again for a higher multiple?
Well, I'll have to go back with how he runs that specific business. Of course, he's going to be able he's going to be able to sell that business higher if he actually grows that business. And all businesses can have the potential to be grown. And so what that means is it actually depends on how he was able to run a business, and it doesn't really have to depend on the business model. If he's going to be, and also, of course, the market comes into play. If he sells the business today, which, let's say, for instance, it's going to be, the market would respond to a higher profit pool next year, then that will definitely be, there's definitely going to be higher profit multiple next year. But the type of business model doesn't really come into play as to which would be flipping higher in terms of profit multiple, because that depends on how he has grown the business or how the market has been doing in the specific period, right?
I think you kind of touched on it earlier in your presentation, but do you have cases where some people maybe just want to buy a percentage of the business, 20% or 50% instead of owning the whole thing? They kind of be investors and not really managing the business?
Yes, it does happen, definitely. Not all businesses, when I mean exit, that does not automatically mean that you have to sell 100% of the business. Because there are business owners that say, or there are buyers that actually offer, say, I want to keep you with the business since you bring a huge contribution in the business, so let's just do 50-50 probably. And yeah, it depends on the agreement of the buyer and seller if that's what you're asking. And we've seen a lot of deals, so it really depends on the structure of the buyers, of what the buyers and sellers are looking at. All right, so probably two other questions before we close this session. Or no? All right.
How many businesses sell with seller financing or financing?
I'm sorry?
How many businesses sell with seller financing rather than a true cash?
There's no specific. You mean the actual number of businesses?
I guess just in general.
In general,
No.
I have no specific data. I mean, it's not also available, but I tried to look into how much in terms of percentage, let's say in the last 6 months, could be a seller finance type of deal versus a cash up front. So I don't have the specific stats at the moment, but I'll try to figure that one out. Thank you for the question, by the way, but I'll try to figure that one out. I guess you still have last question? Or if no one's gonna be asking, okay.
Sure. What's the most popular type of business model in 2023 that you guys see selling? Is it lead generation, affiliates, domains?
Okay, in terms of the number of businesses that wants to sell on Flippa, there are a lot of e-commerce and content businesses. In terms of searches, as I have I have shown earlier, and people are more searching into SaaS, content, e-commerce. These are actually the major. But in terms of people wanting to sell business, it's e-commerce and content businesses.
You say content like blogs?
Yes, content. I do mean contents that earns revenues from ads, yeah, like blogs. All right. Yeah, I guess if there's no other questions that you'd like to ask, thank you so much, by the way, for everyone's participation. So I just want to end everyone to see that these two tools available on Flippa. So this 30 days free first access gives the users 21 days to view businesses ahead of the rest of the market. So not all the users, not all the million users of Flippa has premium access. So if you just scan this QR code, you'd be able to get that free first access, where for the first 21 days that a business is live on Flippa, you get that in front of your eyes ahead of the others. And then of course for businesses who wants to get like a rough indicative valuation of their business, we have a valuation tool available on Flippa, where it will ask you a series of questions such as what's the industry of your business, how the age of your business, the size, the monthly revenue, and the monthly profits, and things like that. So yeah, you can try to scan this QR code and make this available for you. Anyways, I'd like to thank everyone again for coming tonight. We do still have a lot of food and drinks available in our counters. Feel free to get those food for you, and it's really nice meeting you, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming.